Hey, it's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to the Sunday Night Live edition of the Mike Prince Show. Of course, it is our daily feature to try to bring you something that you could use each and every day. Social media handle for Instagram is OBN Radio. For Twitter, it's the Mike Prince Show. YouTube is Open Mic Broadcast Network. We have a special treat for you on tonight. We're going to go into the realm of officiating. We'll hear from the head football official for the Southwestern Athletic Conference, none other than Eddie Kelli. We'll hear wrap up from Ryan Smith, who is the head football coach of the Southwestern Assemblies of God's University Lions in their monumental win over the Langston Lions on yesterday. The first time that they ever beat the Langston Lions in the team's conception. And that was back in 1998. So we'll hear a little bit from him, and a whole lot more. Big weekend in the world of athletics. Baseball season. Panthers officially got off the path this weekend. Didn't get a good start, but we'll kind of go over that and a little bit more. A lot of uncertainty still ramming around. Football was canceled for the most part of the weekend. And so much that we cannot even begin to fathom how and if. We know they have makeup days for all of this, and will it take place? How will it take place? As the old Tootsie Roll commercial would say, the world may never know. How you guys doing? I hope that all is well with you and the loved ones. We took a mental day last week. Just a whole lot going on, and still a whole lot going on, but I feel a lot better about the situation. And as they say, we'll carry on and move on. Big football game on Friday night. Southern Jaguars were able to withstand that of the Hornets of Alabama State, 24-21, and leave it up to Southern. They win the game, and they still got controversy about a play that appeared to be in. Jags had to settle for the field goal, which was enough to give them the win. But boy, I could imagine if things had gone south and they did not win, all fingers would have pointed toward that potentially blown call. Some still say sometimes eyes can be deceiving, but in many cases, many thought they saw that the foot was inbound. Many people have to remember you only need 1 foot in college. But we'll get a chance to talk with Brother Kelli about how those scenarios actually unfold here in just a moment. What we're going to do is get ready. I'll give you some baseball scores. Prairie View went to Lake Charles, Louisiana this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and, of course, today. They played one game on Friday, lost 5-0 on Friday. They played a doubleheader on Saturday, lost 3-1 and 6-5. And then today they lost 11-5. Now, when you look at this, you go like, wow, a sweep, 4-game sweep. But I'm going to look at the glass being half full versus that being half empty. What do you mean? The first game was a no-hit shutout, 19 strikeouts, 5-0 shutout. Then you did make some improvements. And let me see, you lost 3-1, 6-5, and you scored 5. So you scored 11 runs in 4 games. So you are a little shade under 4 runs a game, 3-point-some-odd runs per game, which is exceptionally decent in Major League. But in college, you want to be anywhere between 5 and 8 runs per game because just the aluminum bat and everything else. But they're going to be sorting things out, working things out, and we'll give you the post and the tracking as everything goes. We're going to take a break. We're going to get ready for our first guest of the evening, none other than our only guest of the evening, Mr. Eddie Kelli, right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Keep it right where you got it, and we'll return very, very soon. I promise you. If I could find the right gizmo button to hit, we got it going right now. It's just the way things go sometimes. Keep it right where you got it. We'll be right back.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Never let anyone devalue or underestimate your hard work and dedication. Many times we hear people say, "Wow, you're lucky. I wish I was as lucky as you were." I've learned something about the word luck. It's not necessarily one having luck, be it good or bad. It's about how a person applies the life lessons learned to their next assignment or challenge that lies ahead. We all are faced with challenges. We all have obstacles. We all have days that we wish we could have stayed in bed. The bottom line is, you take what's in front of you, work with what you've got until your change comes. The next time someone tries to tell you that you're walking around in this wealth of luck, it's okay to smile and accept it. But if you remember nothing else, remember this. Luck is spelled L-U-C-K, which stands for labor under correct knowledge. And when you labor under the correct knowledge, more than likely, you will come out ahead of whatever situation is laid before you. This has been another Moment with Mike. Thank you for tuning in. You guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sunday Night Live edition. Mike Prince here with you on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We're going to head on over now to the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. Our guest is no stranger to the network at all. We appreciate him and his expertise that he lends not only to us, but the listening ears across the land. Present to some and introduce to others, none other than Mr. Eddie Kelli. How you doing this evening, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Well, thank you. And I guess I have to ask the official wellness check. Have you guys thawed out?
Yes, we did. We had Jackson State against Edward Waters College last Sunday, and Friday night we had a great game with Southern and Alabama State in Alabama, which came down to a field goal at the end to try to go to overtime. So Southern won that one 24-21.
Yes, sir. Now, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But what I want to do is what we've done, and thanks for you picking up where the person that was in your position before left off, and I thank you so much, is educating us, because we feel like an informed student of the game is a better fan of the game, on any new regulations that we should be aware of, even though we're a little bit, I guess, behind our head how you look at this thing. We try to go before the season start. But with spring being on us, what's new for us for 2021?
Well, definitely, first start off with is the COVID regulations that we all go through. As far as my officials, they all are tested during the week, and then when they go to the game, they're kind of isolated now, with hotel rooms, they're singles, and you get food takeout or whatever. And there's no big meetings like they used to have. Everything's on Zoom and things like that, and they really don't get together until they get on the field. And, of course, we wear masks, and sometimes those guys have to wear it all the time, but as much as possible, we want them to stay masked up, stay away from the virus. And we've been very fortunate that all of our guys have tested negative and been able to call the games we got in, and we hadn't had any issues. So that's been a great thing.
Now, when
also,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, also with that, one of the rule changes is the teams are able to go from the 15-yard line to the other 15 instead of 25 to 25 to try to stay social distance out.
Okay, so to keep the spreading, we're talking about on the sidelines now where they can go 15 to 15. Now, is that something that you could see being a part of the permanent adjustment, or just until we can some way find this virus way behind us?
Some of the things that come in will probably still be in place in the fall just for cautionary measures. And we'll get back to some of the things that we've done in the past, but we'll also probably keep some of these COVID things in place also. So I could see a mix of them.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the mask with your officiating crew, I heard you say they have to try to keep it on as much as possible. Is this something voluntary or mandatory that they wear the mask on the field? And then how is it that the officials will be able to wear masks, but then not required for the players who will be tackling one another?
Well, that is a big issue in a way. We've been fortunate to find out that very little spread has been done during the game itself. So it's really out of protection. And for our guys, like the guys that are on the sideline, that are close to the players and all, we want them to wear it, and they get out on the field if they need to get some fresh air or whatever, that's fine. And also whenever they're talking to a coach or any of the other players, we want them to mask up. So as you will see in some of the games, our head referee will have the mask on and take it off to make its announcement and put it back on. So anytime we're around other people or either other officials, we want them to mask up.
Okay. Now, the only ones, when I'm looking at players on the field, I know there's communication going on all the time, but the ones who would be barking out the loudest, of course, would be your quarterback on the offensive side and perhaps your linebacker on the defensive side, as far as adjustments or whatever need to be made. Is it even remotely being thought of that maybe, if anyone, these guys wear a mask, or is that just something totally out of the window?
Well, right now, the players are not, from the CDC, that they are not required to wear the mask when they're playing. So mainly the players are masked up on the sideline. So when they're on the field, they're not required to mask up.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, of course, with the uniqueness that we have with spring football, the virus in place, and we know that there's a grading system or a monitoring system. Could you explain to us how you guys rate your players and what is the top tier score that one can get? And is there such thing where you can reassign them to go back and get a little refined in their craft before they're able to be qualified to call SWAC games?
Definitely. With our officials, they're required to do a lot of study, either video study, tests, and things like that before they're on the field. As far as Tier 1 and stuff, we grade each game. We have NFL officials that grade the game, and they grade every play to say, that you did this right, or you could have did this better, or even you did this wrong, along with myself, and they get that back to me. So we're grading them constantly on the calls that they make, the calls that they don't make, position that they're in, and to get them better, So we've been zooming and watching plays and stuff since COVID hit in March up until we started games on February 21st. So we're going to have some rust where, you can look at it and talk about it all you want till you get out there and start physically calling again. And it's been a big layoff, almost a year before these guys have been able to get out there. And we miss doing spring training and fall training with the teams and stuff, which they miss some stuff too. So we know it's going to be a learning curve to get back to the top, but we don't make excuses. We go out and work.
Absolutely. We're on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline with the head official of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Mr. Eddie Kelli, and it's always a joy and a plethora of information that we get each time you come on board. Now, there is no football game without a bit and a hint of controversy, and it's always the guys in the stripes' fault, right? That's what they say, but I see it's lack of execution at times. We had a big play to happen on the televised game between Southern and Alabama State. Now, this is the question that I want to know. A lot of people do not understand that there are multiple angles. There's the angle that the viewer gets to see, and then there are angles that officials get to see through instant replay. A, which angle do you determine to make calls, and B, do you have option to use all angles available?
I wish we had options to use all angles, but actually we are tied into the cameras that are provided by the system that we use at each institution. Per se, in that game Friday night, we had 3 views. And I know you're talking about the foot down in the end zone on the touchdown that was taken away.
Yes, sir.
All right. So our officials were a little hesitant on that play, as we all saw, and they came up with an incomplete. And the ruling on the field was that there was a bobble with the ball. And we replayed the game, and with the angles that we had, we could definitely see that the foot was down, no problem. And on the field, the guys thought that the receiver bobbled the ball. And with the bobble and going out of bounds, that would make it incomplete. But when replay went to it, the only view that they got of the ball was when he caught it, and then he turned his back going down, so they could not see the ball to see the bobble. And they had to stick with the call that was on the field.
Okay,
so
understood. Now, in the NFL, they call to the headquarters in New York. In a situation like that, do they call you at the SWAC office or in Houston or on the hotline and say, hey, this is what we got going on, tell me what you see? Are you involved with that decision being made at all?
We would love to get to that point in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Right now, we're not there. Basically, what they do is they call a command center. And at that command center, they have another replay official that's watching it that goes along with the replay official that's at the field. Right now, we only have the replay official that's present at the game. If I'm at the game and I can look at the views with them, of course I will help out. But we try to replay every game that's a conference game, and we do. So it's kind of impossible to be at all those different sites at the same time.
Right.
If I can get some input into it, I definitely will.
Right, and that what I was imagining, I have a very imaginative mind, that you're somewhere in the crow's nest, man, and you got all these streams going, and whenever there's something come up, they call you up and say, go to Game 5, whatever Game 5 happens to be assigned that week, and you go and check it out.
That's exactly what we're trying to get to. We're just not there yet.
Okay. Well, they say,
it's a large financial. Yes, it's a large financial thing to be able to do that, So we'll get there. It'll take a little time, but we'll get there. But in the meantime, we're trying to train those guys in the booth to be the best that they can be. But it's one thing about replay that the average fan may not know. He has to have video evidence to change a call, because the ruling that's made on the field, we won't always say that that's the right ruling until we get video evidence that shows that that is not the right ruling. Right. So if they had video evidence that that was not the right ruling, they would overturn that call. But without video evidence, you can't do it.
Well, the way I look at it is like this, Mr. Kelli. You got half a dozen in one hand and 6 in another. Because if we're really going to be critical, as we tend to be, especially if it goes against our team, heaven help us if it goes against my beloved Panthers now. But if the truth be told, you could call holding every play and you would never get a game complete. It'd take 6 hours to get a game done.
And there's a philosophy that we have with holding also. You'll see grabs and pulls and stuff, like you say, on every play. But we want a grab or a pull to restrict that defensive player from making a play. He has to take a step away from him. He has to jerk him. He has to pull him around, And we want those to be huge pulls and grabs and restrictions before we call holding. Because if we don't, like you say, we could be there all night.
And with that being said, in this case, it was fortunate that Southern still gets the victory, even though if you go and ask Jag Nation, they're still somewhat disgruntled. But that's just Jag Nation. I've grown to love them for who they are in spite of. But it's still, as you mentioned earlier, it's a job that you really don't understand how fast it's going, how much you need to retain in the noodle to keep things moving along. And it's some pressurized time sometime. And it's easy to sit up in the stand with a Coke in one hand, some peanuts in another, talking about I could have gotten that even sitting up here in the stands. But we do thank you guys. And I always say the best game is when you're not even mentioned. They don't even realize that you guys are involved in the game, right?
Most definitely.
So with that being said, no more new rules and regulations for this year. And it's been, I guess, a challenge for you guys to come together because you hadn't had the in-person meetings and you got crews still somewhat trying to get familiar with one another. How do you assemble your crews to assign which games to where?
Well, through watching them from last season and grading them from last season. And we put the crews together to be the best that they can be. And sometimes, it is a crap shot, and we get younger officials that we have to work in because we're fortunate enough that we supply probably 90% of the black officials in the FBS conference, football bowl system. And that's a great thing because we're exposing those guys to move up to the next level. And we get guys from D3, D2, junior college. They have to have some college experience to come in. And from there, we want to hone their skills to be the best at their position. And just for an example, this season, we had 5 guys move to larger conferences, the American Conference, Conference USA, and the Sun Belt Conference. And there's a possibility of 4 or 5 more moving after this season, which means that we have to have guys on our list already and bring in new guys that can work up to that level also. It takes some time now, and we have growing pains for sure. Unfortunately, we don't like those, but
I'm sitting up here thinking as you were speaking, as much as they mean well and they have a desire to want to be an official, if you had to give a percentage of guys who you had to just sit down and have that heart-to-heart with, like, look, guy, you're really not ready for this level yet. These are some recommendations that we give to you to go back and hone in on your craft and your skill, and come back in a year or two and we can reevaluate you. On a percentage scale, how many would you say that you have to turn away like that?
I would say probably under 10%, but that's never a happy conversation to have with a young man or a young lady. But we do have to do that, because when they're making mistakes consistently, we have to say, hey, we need to have that talk, and we do have that talk. So it does happen,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we give them the opportunity to get better. And if they don't get better, then we have to move on and try to hone in and teach and present the opportunity to someone else.
And I was going to say that the other flip side to that is that you'll get some that have that potential of looking like this is going to be a pretty good person to add or a piece to add to the system. And then toward the end of the year or two of evaluating, you have to release them as well and continue to try to keep making this thing as best as possible.
Yes, we do.
Wow. Well, I don't envy you at all, sir. But that's why they pay you the big bucks, man, because you are the top dog of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and we really appreciate you coming through. And I know that you have to defend these guys' honor and integrity, and everybody have a tendency to feel like there's a conspiracy against their beloved universities. And I know from seeing behind the scenes that you're neutral across the board, is either black or white. There is no gray area. It is according to what the rules say. And with that, what closing thoughts and comments would you like to share to our listening audience right now?
Well, I know we talked about some of the COVID rules, and there are a few rules that not major that will be implemented this spring. And the first one comes in with the numbers that the student athletes wear. And in the past, you might have thought some of the larger universities have 2 or 3 kids wearing number 1 or number 2, etc. Now that rule has come, only 2 players can have the same number. And in our institutions, we don't have, that's pretty rare, but they do it a lot. You recruit a kid and he wants to be number 3 and he plays defense, and there's a kid on offense that plays number 3. It's no problem. And same thing with us. But there can only be 2 of them. In the past, there could be more. There could only be 2. They also brought in the rule this year that you could wear the number 0, which we hadn't had in football in a long, long time. But just 0, not 00, like Ed Ott wore with the Raiders or whatever. But they can use that number also. So that's one of the differences. And then the next difference we brought in was in targeting. The targeting foul is still the same as it's always been, except now that student athlete does not have to go to the dressing room. He does not have to leave the playing area. He can stay on the bench area with his squad, and he just can't participate. Now,
would he still be
on plays where...
would he still not be allowed to play the next game?
Right. He'll still say if it's the first half, he'll have to sit out the second half of the first game. So, and he'll still have to sit out half a game for the targeting foul, but he would not have to leave the bench. Now, if there's anything like fighting, anything like that, where it's a disqualification, then he will have to leave the playing area. And another new rule that we brought in is during the pregame warm-up, all of the players have to have a number on, whereas in the past they could come out in a T-shirt or whatever, or the Under Armour shirts and all, and that was fine. But we had some situations at the bowls where there were some ugly incidents that happened, and you may have known who that player was, but with face recognition, but that was it. So now he has to have on a number, and they have to have a coach or two anytime the players come out on the field. We used to go out in our regulations of the game will start an hour before the game. Now they start an hour and a half before the game. So just trying to cut out some of the things that we don't want in football. We want them to play the game hard and be aggressive, and we know that football can be a violent collision sport at times, but we want to keep it fair for everybody. And it's not a boxing match, it's a football game.
Yes, sir. Sometimes they turn into at least some sparring sessions prior to the game. Now, we know that part of football, this energy brings about lip service. Are you guys going to be a little bit more intense on that, or are you going to give some verbal warnings before you start throwing laundry across the place?
Right. We know it's early in the season right now, and even during the season, we try to do as much preventive officiating as possible. If we see something about trying to start, we want to get in between them and get it cut out before we have to throw a flag, because we want the ball game to be played with the best players that they have. And we understand they get heated and this and that, but you got to understand also that you got to play within the rules.
Hey, the rules is why we have them. If you don't want to tend to them, then find another sport, right?
You know it.
Well, sir, we thank you so much for joining in with us on this evening, and we do look forward to some more conversations down the road. You stay safe and stay dry, man, and keep doing a fantastic job that you've been doing. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Enjoy it. Always having time to talk to you and your listeners, and we want to be the best we can be in this WAC, and we're working hard to do that.
All right. That was Mr. Eddie Kelli of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, head official of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, getting things explained and cleared up for us. And we're going to take us a break, and we'll be back with more of tonight's live show right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work. There's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
And welcome back to the Sunday Night Live edition of the Mike Prince Show. Mike Prince here with you, the radio guy. Sunday Night Live. We had last segment on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline, Eddie Kelli of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, explaining the situation that took place on Friday night between the Jaguars and the Hornets of Alabama State. Controversial call, but as you hear, he did not have the angles that you had on television. So you have to work with what you have, and they went with the assessment of the data that they had available to them at the time of the call. I know that does not ease the ache of Jag Nation, but at least you did get the win. Didn't work out. Of course, I would love 6/3 any time of the day, but it was one of those misfortunate, bad angle situations. But I always thought that they would have access to all angles. So we learn something new every time. And so the fact that they had to choose one or the other, and they chose the home team, if I'm not mistaken, that was Alabama State. Yeah, the home team camera angles. So that's what you have. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't necessarily make it wrong. But it at least clarifies. And there is no conspiracy against you, Jag Nation. We still love you. Brother Brown, it's going to be okay. It was a bad angle. Won't say a bad call, just a bad angle. And remember, one person's perception is another man's reality. And that was proof of that. And speaking of perception over reality, some history was made over the weekend from the Sooner Athletic Conference in the NAIA division. We'll let it explain itself. How about that? The Southwestern Assemblies of God University Lions took on the Langston Lions and came away with the victory, 31-20. We'll now go and hear Coach Ryan Smith give a recap.
This is Coach Smith, head football coach at SAGU, giving a summary over our Langston win tonight. This is our first win against Langston in our football program's history. We won 31-20 tonight. We had a great performance out of our receiving crew, highlighted by Jamal Long's 2 touchdown catches, Zachary Johnson, 1 touchdown catch. Also, great contribution by Zachariah Johnson and Mike Mouton. Both backs played extremely well. Keaton Duddick and Darius Keys combined for over 100 yards rushing. This was all highlighted by Jordan Barlow, our quarterback, who engineered our offense. Up front, our O-line played extremely well and extremely hard. Defensively, had a great performance, holding them to under 200 yards total offense. Defensive line, DeAndre Belcher, Drake Rodriguez, had great days. At linebacker, Zach Nelson had a great day. We were led in tackles by Dawson Spencer. In the back end at safety, Jalen Moss had a great performance, breaking up several passes. From a special team standpoint, we had a huge performance from Isaac Gowdy, who blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown. Also had a still-winning kick, a 48-yard field goal from Kieran Woodley. Seth Green did a great job with his punting responsibilities, flipping the field. Coaches did a tremendous job with game plan. Guys did a great job playing 4 quarters. Thank you, guys.
And, of course, that was Ryan Smith of the Southwestern Assemblies of God University Lions with the wrap-up of the victory over the Langston Lions, the first time that they had ever beaten Langston. And we're going to hear from both of them coaches on a weekly basis here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Of course, Ryan Smith and Quentin Morgan of the Langston Lions, and we'll get a more in-depth detail recap from both coaches on the leverage of play from their schools. The Langston Lions now fall to 0-2, while the Lions of Sagu go to 1-0. Very interesting matchups as we got there. Limited on the football play that we had this weekend due to all the games that were postponed, canceled, whatever acronym you'd like to use throughout the course of the weekend. We heard from Coach Clarence McKinney on Friday in regards to their preparation now for Prairie View, what we're calling Labor Day Classic 2.0, as they'll get ready to take on the Panthers on the beautiful campus of Prairie View A&M University. Will you come out and watch? Will you come out and support? Will you listen on the radio, or will you listen by stream? Let us know how you plan to be a part of the game this weekend between the Panthers and the Tigers. You can get us a call at 713-570-6736. We got a lot more to give you before our hour has been expelled for today. We're going to talk about the Panthers on the hardwood. Men winning 55-54. We'll have our Roscoe report coming up for that. But what we're going to do now is take us another break, and we'll come back with more of tonight's Sunday Night Live right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control of my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
The Open Mic Broadcast Network would like to take this time to recognize its sponsors and underwriters: Attorney Lee Van Richardson, Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, Prairie View Athletic Club, Temple of Refuge Ministries, Reflections Paint and Body Shop, Helping Hands Lawn Service, Diva Skin Conditioner, Purple Drip Daiquiri and Grill. For more information on how you can become an underwriter or a sponsor here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, our number to call is 832-213-8824. Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Prairie View 11-4, 10-0 versus Alabama State 4-10. Prairie View looks for its 12th straight conference win against Alabama State. Prairie View's last SWAC loss came against the Southern Jaguars 89-80 on March 7, 2020. Alabama State lost 86-76 loss at home to Texas Southern in its most recent game. Both of these teams have relied heavily on the seniors this year. Brandon Battle, DJ Heath, and Keegan Stewart have collectively scored 43% of Alabama State's points this season. For Prairie View, Cam Mack, Jawan Daniels, and Lionel Henry have combined to score 43% of the team's points this season, including 52% of all Panthers' points over their last 5. Mack has either made or assisted on 41% of all Prairie View field goals over the last 5 games. The senior guard has accounted for 21 field goals and 39 assists in those games. Alabama State is 0-7 this year when it allows 68 points or more and 4-3 when holding opponents to fewer than 68. Prairie View is a perfect 8-0 when it scores at least 71 points. The Panthers are 3-4 when scoring any fewer than 71. Did you know the Prairie View defense has allowed only 63 points per game to opponents, which is the 22nd best mark in the country? The Alabama State offense has put up just 60.5 points through 15 games, ranked 328th among Division I teams.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a Sunday Night Live edition of the Mike Prince Show right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. You just heard the Roscoe Report talking about the Prairie View A&M University Panthers as they get ready to take on the Alabama State Hornets on Monday evening in Montgomery, Alabama. Panthers going for their 12th consecutive conference win. They have 33 home wins, which is not bad at all. Not bad at all. In fact, it's fantastic. And you can't help but tip your cap to the work that Coach Smith and company has put in. And on the same side, or should I say the opposite side, your heart has to go out to the struggles from the women's side of the hardwood. Been a very challenging year for Coach Sandy Pugh and company. They fell short this past weekend, or should I say yesterday, against Alabama A&M. And they'll go in and try to resurrect what's left of the season, starting with Alabama State, which is a tough order. Alabama State playing exceptionally well this season. Then they'll wrap up both the men and the women with Southern and Alcorn back at home. And you look at it, and we talked about this. I want to say it was Thursday we may have spoken about it. May have been Friday. My days get mixed up. But the Panthers, by losing to Valley, had really put themselves behind the 8 ball. And you would hope that you have to win at least a couple of these games that are remaining in order to try to salvage and claim a number 8 spot. It's going to be a tall order. I'm still going to keep my PV shades on. I'm not going to just dim them just yet. I'm going to keep that, they call it death grip on there, and keep holding on just a little bit tighter. And hopefully the Panthers can find a way to sneak in and potentially cause a little trouble, a little heartache, a little disruption. And back to the men's side of things, we know that Alabama A&M is not eligible for the tournament this year. So it's going to create not too much of a beaten path for the tournament. But when you look at the situation that could be between Jackson State and Prairie View, both are in position that they could run the table for the remaining of the season. And I say could. 2 undefeated teams who have yet to face each other in the regular season. Is that even imaginable in the 21st century? How would you rank one over the other? I know they have a system where they're going to do comparison to like opponents in the event, because waiting right now, I think Prairie View would have 2 more games or at least 1 more game than Jackson State. And the scenario is such: if Jackson State goes undefeated, Prairie View goes undefeated, how do you determine who's who? Or let's say Jackson State goes undefeated, Prairie View loses 1 or even 2 of those games. Do you still dub Jackson State as the top billing for the regular season? We know that the ranking is for tournament purposes. And right now, at 1 or 2, the litmus test will be settled in the tournament if the 2 were to make it through that treacherous track. But for the regular season, there's got to be some weight for regular season success. How do you determine? I know I've spoken to several people involved, and no one is really feeling a co-anything. No one wants to be a co-champion. You either want it all or nothing at all. So how do you fix that? We thought that you could actually have a one-game winner-take-all regular season champion played before the tournament. Everybody just meet in Birmingham, get this game on. Good luck to you. Get it out the way, and then let's go and have a great tournament. We took a poll this week. 60% of you were in agreement with that. You thought it would not be a bad idea at all, that you just go in there, let them hash it out on the court where it should be hashed out, and let the better team win. It's the only competitive way to do things, right? It's the only way. As Don King would say, only in America. And we want to give congratulations. We tweeted it out, but you cannot ever say congratulations enough to the Prairie View A&M University Panthers and Coach Angela Williams taking the indoor track championship over Alabama State. Alabama State seemed like they were just holding everybody hostage and just doing what they wanted to do for so many years. And they were finally dethroned by Coach Angela Williams, who, by the way, got female, or should I say women's, track coach of the year, indoor track coach of the year. And Alabama State took first place in the men's division. And the Panthers of Prairie View came up just a tad short at number 2 under Coach Clay. So great news on the heel. Good things sorting themselves out, working themselves out as the Panthers get ready to move forward in this spring bliss of athletics. Football, volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, track, soccer, everything that is coming at a mad rush. But you know who my heart goes out to the most? And that is the sports information director. Poor people. They have so much to deal with that many of us are just oblivious to how bombarded and taxed that they really are at this time. So if you know anyone that works in this sports information business, you need to really buy them a Coke and tell them to have a smile. Buy them an adult beverage if they need to, off hours, of course. But tip your hat to them. And if it's not coming out as fast as you think it should, just imagine this. You are working in sometimes the position of at least 2 people, sometimes 3 as one individual, during good times, not counting the stress of COVID, testing, retesting, canceling, rescheduling, and to combine that with majority of your sports being played in one season, it's a lot to intake. It's a lot to swallow. It's a whole lot to really try to comprehend. You know the adjustments that we've had to make on our own personal jobs. Just imagine what that SID has to go through. They have to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And from time to time, guess what? They might make a trip or 2. Let's not be overcritical. If we can, let's aid them in whatever way we could. You might have to go through some testing protocols, but if you got some time to volunteer and help them carry out the assignment, learn what it takes to be a aid or brother or sister's keeper, stick that hand out there. Because we're all in this together, whether you want to like it or not. I am getting ready to exit stage left. I want to thank our special guest on tonight, Brother Eddie Kelli from the Southwestern Athletic Conference, main office head official. Explain with some clarity and detail for you, Jag Nation, on what really went down. There's an old radio guy by the name of Paul Harvey. He used to say, now you know the rest of the story. I want to thank our sponsors, Attorney Lee Van Richardson, Diva Skin Conditioner, Helping Hands Lawn Service, Purple Drip Daiquiri and Grill, Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, Prairie View Athletic Club. Also want to thank Reflections Paint and Body Shop and the Temple of Refuge Ministries. Don't forget to join us Monday through Friday right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. That is our endeavor to bring you news that you could use. You can also catch up with Miss Sonia Stamps on Fridays at 9 a.m. right here on the network. And the infamous Carlos Brown, 10 a.m. to 12 noon Saturdays, right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I've got to go. My time is far spent. But until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.
That ain't right.